Hey everybody, welcome back to the Underbelly Hours. It is an Adela-less version today, unfortunately, but it's all for a good cause. She's right now on the road trying to get, not only, I was gonna do a bit, who's like the hottest star right now? Hottest star. Who's mainstream?
Ariana Grande.
She is on the road trying to get Ariana Grande on the show with the Chainsmokers and Bieber. Anyways, that was my bit. No, she's busy, but alas, the show must go on, and it's going to be an amazing episode because we have a special guest today, the one and only
Rob Reif.
There we go. And because I didn't want to mess up your last name, I forgot to ask.
Fair enough.
He is the manager of the Fresh Production manager.
I'm definitely not a general manager.
Manager.
Don't
Production manager. Even cooler. You don't have to deal with the other boring stuff.
Exactly.
You're only with the sound and the band and the acts and the stage.
Fun stuff.
The fun stuff. The reason why people go to Hey Nonny in Arlington Heights, relatively new music venue. You just started like right before the pandemic, right?
Actually, we opened in October of 2018.
Oh, okay, so
we've been, we were kind of basically picking up steam, getting a really good reputation amongst bands, booking agents, talent buyers, and then the world shut down for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all know how that is going. But yeah, before we get deeper into this, we must roll the intro. So, I'm Dan, and Adela's not here, but Rob's here, and it's going to be a great one.
Want to know a band before they get popular? Tune into the Underbelly Hours, Sunday nights at 6 p.m. on WRSC 88.7 FM, and discover the best of local, unsigned musicians. Don't miss out on the next big thing.
So, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I found out about Hey Nonny through just a couple local people that were starting to book there. And one of them being Pino Farina, as we've mentioned many times on this show. And then I saw who else you were getting, and you guys get like really good talent. I'm seeing the Arcadian Wild. I saw you also had, where'd you go? Oh, you got Eric Quigley. We know him. He's a local. We know him from the Alibis. And Nikki Morgan. Nikki Morgan was there as a...
with Philip Michael Scales, who was an excellent performer.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, did not get to work that show, but I have worked with him before there, and he is awesome. And I heard really good things about Nikki Morgan as well.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. So, let's just start off by saying how did you get your start in Hey Nonny? Were you there from the conception of it, or did you join midway, halfway, partially?
They had the ad posted for the job, I want to say September or so. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. That is...
And this concludes our interview with Rob Reif.
Wow.
We'll be back
I thought I
next
had it
week
on silent. I interviewed for the position, I want to say September of 2018, and I was hired about a week and a half before they opened. So I've been there since the beginning. We had a lot to figure out. They already had the PA installed. I didn't have to do any of that. TC Furlong designed the PA. State-of-the-art sound system. I've been really blessed to work on such a great PA. If we want to get into gear, Yamaha Q05, which is a great console, Meyer mains. But yeah, I've been there since the beginning and been able to really see Hey Nonny kind of take shape into this really well-known music venue so far. I would say in the short time that we've been around, I think we've earned a pretty good reputation in the music industry itself.
Definitely.
Both locally and I think regionally, which is it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, you're not just booking, the people that we know that we've had on the show, but you're booking touring acts around. I want to say globe, but have you had any international people make their way through?
I think we've had one international, Reina Del Cid, and I think I'm saying her name wrong, which is not good PR. But she's played there a couple times. I want to say she's from the UK, but it's not on here because I don't have the show card for October. But we have, Frank Catalano and Jimmy Chamberlain from Smashing Pumpkins.
That's cool.
They have a really cool jazz show that they've actually played a few shows at Hey Nonny and sold out just about every time. So not only do we have really good local, regional, we have bands from LA, Nashville, New York, kind of all over the place.
And how did you guys start getting that recognition to be appealing to like those a little bit more national touring acts?
I think it just started off, I think it was probably challenging for the first talent buyer to just kind of say, hey, this is a new club, because, people have to take a chance on a new club.
Right.
So I think it helped that current talent buyer already had a reputation with other venues in the Chicago area. I want to say Fitzgerald's and Tonic Room.
Okay.
Those gentlemen, Donnie Biggins and John Worth, they both kind of helped bring in some of the first acts that were at Hey Nonny. The first week we were open, we had Andrew Bell, which, was amazing.
Yeah.
His music is excellent, and I know he was even really impressed by our venue. I actually saw him when I was at Lincoln Hall, and I walk up to him and he goes, you did sound for me in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And I go, how do you, was it bad? You remembered me?
Yeah.
What? And I was really humbled by that. It meant a lot to me. But yeah, we've just been, I think, between the owners taking the time to do things right when it comes from a production point, getting the right gear, just having a good attitude amongst the bands, and then talent buyers just trying to get whoever they can, we've been able to build a really good reputation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where did you get? We'll get back a little bit more about Hey Nonny, but while we're on you personally, what made you get your start in music and music production? Was this always the route you wanted to go, or did you get a start in a band or playing music? Or
it all started with me wanting to play guitar, and then eventually started playing in bands and yelling into a microphone as a lead vocalist. A band that I loved very much I was in called Little Blue Taxi. We were like I
like that name.
Yeah, we were like
a
funny, happy metal band.
Okay.
That we had songs called Ravioli Smiles, Superman's Revolver, Overweight Mailman, Grandma's Big Hands. That was a classic amongst people. They didn't know the words, but they just liked the title of the song.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we came up with the title of that song. So it started there, and then I started helping out with Marengo Park District. They would have these local shows, and the director there, Mike McCann, I became really involved with him, helping him just set shows up, and then I kind of started helping book them a little bit, and then I started playing around with a powered mixer and thought, wow, this is kind of cool. And then eventually I thought, wow, I can actually turn this into a career, because I also realized that my talent as a musician wasn't as good as some of my peers, and I kind of faced the realization, can I make money playing my guitar? So I thought, hey, I can still be in the music industry and do sound, and just started from there. I took a live sound class and got a job with a local production company in Woodstock, Illinois, B&B Productions, and just started off kind of helping him as a roadie, and then started to learn how to mix at Duke O'Brien's in Crystal Lake, Illinois, many years ago. This was 2005 when I first started out, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been incredibly blessed to do something I love for a living. It's really cool.
Do you mind me asking what age you were when you made the switch and committed yourself to doing the sound work and finding a career in that?
I was, 20... I was born in 84, so if you do the math, that's 22, I think. 22, around there.
Okay.
Or 21.
And how many
take that out?
How many years did it take before you kind of switched to full time?
Well, I would say, probably. I did it for a couple of years part time. I left the industry for a little bit because I thought I could do construction and have a real job, and then I realized even though I was good at that and made really good money, I just realized that I was not put on this earth for that. And I just think that we all have a passion inside of us, and I believe that it's put there for a reason. And so once I left construction, I got back into that. Worked a lot of part-time jobs. I worked at Walmart. I worked at True Value in a warehouse. Even worked at Guitar Center for a few years. So I was doing Guitar Center and doing sound for festivals and bars. And then eventually that job didn't work out. And then I just put all my eggs in one basket and just started to reach out to, Craigslist. I made a Craigslist ad, looking for bands looking for a sound guy.
Right.
And then just started hitting up companies that were just looking for general stagehands. And then I started getting into doing corporate AV, just, working in a warehouse for a company called PRG. So I would work warehouse, I would do stagehand stuff. And I just kept pursuing. I would look for any opportunity to learn, to work with whoever I could, just to try to get work. Because at the time, that's all I had. So I would say I've been full on freelance / and then plus Hey Nonny being the production manager the last 5 or 6 years. Of that is my main. That's all I do. So I don't have like a typical 9-to-5 job.
That's awesome. Yeah, the reason I asked that is because whenever I meet somebody who is full-time in music, it's fun to know how they got there, because a lot of people, the grind gets to them and they start to get worn down and they just maybe give up, or they just take it as like just a little side hobby thing when they really have like this talent and skill to make it a full-time job. So it's nice to talk about that on the show in case anyone is at that point in the grind where it's like, I don't know how long I can keep this up. I'm tired of working the day jobs or the 3 part-time jobs and doing all that stuff. So was it just like when you were working in construction, you just had that moment where it's like, this is enough, I have to do what I have to do to make it happen? And
yeah, I mean, and I would say to anybody that is looking to pursue this as a career, don't give up. I mean, try to work hard, have a really good attitude, and try to learn as much as you can from your peers. I mean, I'm constantly learning from other sound guys. I mean, just the other day I texted a sound guy because I tried a miking technique that he did when he was at our venue, and I was like, I'm officially stealing this from you. But I mean, but that's just what happens. I mean, you learn from your peers, and you always have to be learning, and you have to have, I would say, a positive attitude, and just trying to, not give up and focus on doing what you love. And that's I think that's why I've been able to make it into a career. That's why I'm here today. I mean, I get to work for a really awesome venue, and then plus I work for multiple churches. As I mentioned, I came from a church gig this morning, which was awesome. Parkview Church in Orland Park. Really, really good staff over there. And yeah, I've turned it into something great. I mean, I've formed friendships, relationships with all kinds of people over the years doing what I do.
And I think another important thing that's consistent among musicians and other people who work in the industry full time is that, like, there's no one way of getting there. There's no like timeline. There's no expected timeline. Like, some people luck out and get it going in like a year or two, and some people it's like 8 years in and they finally get to ditch the day job, and some people take longer. So yeah, I like the general just don't give up and just keep going with it.
Absolutely. Well, and the networking, constantly, just have maybe making a business card. Hey, sound engineer, whatever. I mean, I had little cheap cards made up, and actually they weren't cheap. I actually had somebody make them, and they were really awesome, which I think I credited me to getting work because they looked awesome.
They look so cool, right?
I actually made sure there wasn't a cheap, how you see business cards with like a console on them. Can you make sure it's not one of the cheaper analog Behringer boards? And we had to go through several drafts of the business card to make sure that it wasn't a cheap console.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of fun.
That's funny. And so a lot of your sound experience came from like doing all these jobs with bands early on and being stagehands and stuff. Did you ever, besides the one audio class you took that you mentioned, was there any other like formal schooling that you studied this stuff in?
No, I was accepted to a few different colleges out of high school, but the idea of going to school, I was not one to just sit in a class and look at the teacher and learn. I'm very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it, I want to do it and figure it out. So besides the one sound class, no. It's what's really cool in our industry is that a lot of these manufacturers will actually host free classes, or sometimes you have to pay a small fee. Mm-hmm. Companies like Allen and Heath, they've had training classes for their D-Live console that I was able to attend for free. It was a 2-day class. Yamaha, same thing. It was a 1 or 2 day class for their consoles and Dante networking, which is the whole thing.
Okay.
I don't know if that lost you there. But it's ClearComm, which is like, you see comm headsets at concerts or corporate events. The dudes walking around with headsets and, talking to people. I took a class on that. Meyer Sound, I took a class on, so there's information out there. It's just a matter of signing up for, all these companies, their email lists, and getting informed of what is available to you. It's amazing what you can find online. So that's really helped me along the way too. I've picked up all kinds of different mixing techniques from going to some of these events. Philo, which is for first in, last out. It's kind of more for church technicians, but it's this huge thing every year in May at Willow Creek Community Church. But I picked up a lot of great mixing tactics there from different uses of compressing vocals or combining verbs and delays in a different way. So it's just, you just got to be on the lookout for that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, and make yourself available and open to receiving that information and
absolutely
finding that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like maybe when people get too far into the grind, they actually start getting like tunnel vision, and they're not as like willing to check out this one thing because they don't know if it will actually benefit them in the long run. And I'm like, well, it's always worth taking a chance if you got nothing else going on. Take it up and see what you.
Well, and sometimes you have to sacrifice things, time or whatever. But I'd say if that's what you want to do, ultimately it's worth it. It's. I say it all the time. I love what I do. There's definitely days where it's long days and it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, but ultimately, I love being able to get behind a console, whether it be mixing a show at Hey Nonny, allowing the audience to just get lost with the performer, either talking about their songs, pouring their heart out, to just singing along to their song, forgetting about what's going on around them because we live in a crazy world and it's a beautiful escape. Mm-hmm. And then being able to mix in a church service and allowing people to pour their hearts out and worship and have the band not worry about the sound and they could just focus on playing. And it's live music in general, whether in any type of setting, is a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah, and it's really like your job, I feel like, just from a average audience perspective, is probably like the most thankless job. You don't have a lot of your average Joes that like really tune in to the fact that you're really helping the band sound good. Because if you're bad at your job, it's really easy for them to sound bad.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, when it sounds great, you're just so sucked into the band. And not me. I always thank the sound guys. I understand that their job is...
You did it, Hey Nonny.
Yeah. So, is there ever, like, times where, besides the bands and the musicians, do you ever have some random people like me come up to you and be like, yo, the sound was, like, killer tonight? And I've never heard that band sound that good. Thank you so much. Because I'm sure you've gotten the, like, maybe early on you didn't have a great set. I'm sure you've heard about those.
Every now and again you have somebody that's, that says, this, they critique you.
Yeah.
And I just...
They think they know more than...
And, and you don't know who they are. They could be a sound guy themselves, so you never know. They could just be playing stupid.
Could be.
I will say that in the, almost coming up in October, 3 years of being open at Hey Nonny, I will say that in my time there, I would say I've had more people come up to me at Hey Nonny, and this goes for shows that when I'm working the sound and I have other technicians that I schedule. I get more compliments from people in that amount of time than I ever have in my entire career.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
It just goes to show you that I think our clientele that we get, and then the bands that we bring, people really appreciate it, and it's always nice to hear. I mean, it's not why I do it. It's always nice to hear. We had Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts the other night, and that was just, as a sound guy, you get to those moments, you're like, in between doing the lights and doing the sound, you're just like, yeah. And I had, a few people come up to me afterwards, but it's just, even if they didn't come up to me, I was just like, I know it sounded good. I know I killed it.
And that's
I know it sounded
so satisfying.
Good. It is. I mean, and even when the band allows to, that they don't have to, worry about it. And I think being a musician myself, starting at that point, helps me understand a musician's needs more as well, because if they need more monitor or if something doesn't sound right to them on stage, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Because I've played bass on stage, guitar, and vocalist. I don't say singer because I did a lot of yelling.
Okay.
So I understand that it's important. You have to hear yourself, and if you're used to hearing yourself a certain way, you just have to try to find a way to emulate that every show.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to put this out so that you can, just pat yourself on the back. Didn't want to make you look like that.
No, not at all.
Because I always want people to appreciate the sound guy when they're doing good. I think more people should understand, like, the stress that job has and how fundamental it is that, they do their job well enough to make it all sound good. And where was I going with that? But yeah, so like you were mentioning, it's you think it's a clientele, you're bringing in a bunch of music lovers. Do you think it's also the times now, because everything's so accessible on the internet, the little behind the scenes stuff is getting more credit because that's being shown more online and stuff? Like, do you think people are just becoming more aware of that, or is it strictly just like the clientele that you got?
I think it's a combination. I'd also say due to the pandemic, and since we closed from November to March, 100% closed. So when we reopened, it was really cool. I mean, every show that when we reopened and we were doing shows, every night we were hearing how happy people were to, and I think with the pandemic, it made us appreciate the little things like live music more. But I would definitely say it's a combination of clientele. It's a combination of people, like you said, people having access to things online, just being able to see behind the scenes, and you could watch videos. I love watching those, it's those time-lapse videos of like a festival stage setup. Yeah. It's crazy. And I mean, how many man hours, how many people that can go into putting on one of your, an arena show, let's say, or a small show even. I mean, it's crazy how many man hours go into it.
Right, for those like giant touring bands, I mean, the trailers get there like 3 days before the show date to set up like the stadium and stuff. And
actually, you'd be surprised. A lot of them are either day of or sometimes the day before. But like, I used to stagehand for the BMO Harris Center in Rockford, and we'd have a tour come in that morning. Load-in would be, let's say, 7 or 8 a.m., and a stage would get built, rigging points would get laid out, and after, I'd say, lunchtime, sound check could be happening. It's crazy. I mean, there's, you're talking maybe 80 guys that are on site. I mean, it all depended on the show, of course, but, there's a plan, and it's executed perfectly. Most of the time, perfectly.
Most of the time,
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just cool that people can see that more because of the internet. There's so many like double-edged swords when it comes to the internet, but like, this is one of those cool things where, like me personally, just getting more into the sound aspect of music, just I'm getting more of an appreciation for like EDM, some of it, because I've seen so many like Ableton tutorials of DJs like going in and like how they cut things up and just seeing the process of it. So it's like fascinating. And then even like there's a channel that me and Josh were talking about in a different world, VFX Corridor Crew, that just like they watch CG or effects in movies and explain like how that trick was done, or like why that looks bad because they forgot to take into effect this thing. And there's so many videos of like that in every field that
it's
people
a dangerous wormhole of time. It's like a time suck of YouTube, and you know how you watch a video on YouTube. Oh, you will like this. Let me autoplay. Ooh, what's that? Yeah. I will continue to watch this.
And then you're 8 videos in.
Yeah, and then like, where did the time go?
Yeah. And you try and convince yourself, it's like, well, I learned something.
Right.
But how much information did you actually learn? But no, it's fun stuff. So I'm glad to hear that more people are coming up. And, also just Hey Nonny is a great room for the sound, I think. It's not like too big or huge. You don't have to worry about like crazy... Well, I don't know. Is there any difficulties in the room, or is it like a pretty easy room to...
I would say it's pretty easy most of the time. I mean, where I'm located with front of house, little nerd stuff is that, I'm kind of in a bass trap. So the low end kind of gets captured where I'm at. So I will have to mix a little bass heavy, let's say the kick drum or your bass guitar. But then if I walk out front and I walk center of the room, it's not going to be as bass heavy, just because of where I'm at with a lower ceiling and in a corner. But I mean, there's little tricks that I've picked up on the room. I mean, there's like lower mids in the room. I tend to kind of cut in the vocals. If I really wanted to get nerdy about it, like between 200 and 350 hertz, if that means that makes sense to you.
So that makes sense to me. Yes.
Okay, good. Maybe not some of your maybe some of your audience, depending on who your audience is.
A lot of our audience is musicians and music people.
Then they'll know. So then if they ever play at Hey Nonny, they'll be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut between 200 and 350 hertz for you."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "You don't have to do that. I'll do it."
That'd be funny though. If that starts happening.
You know what? Now that I've said this, I expect it, and in the next year, I want a band to come up and tell me that. That'd be really fun.
Well, now we have to make this a clip so we can really blast this.
Yeah,
make sure people hear it.
It's a challenge to all future bands
to come in and just be like, "Hey, I know this room."
Yeah, exactly.
200, 350 dB out. Not dB, you know what I'm saying.
I know it's cool.
I mix those up all the time. So it's cool because hearing your background and stuff, it makes sense why you're already so good at what you do, because you've had the experience in the band. You're knowing that world where people on stage are coming from. You've been doing sound for a bunch of different worlds, like church music and festivals and stuff like that. Is there like a favorite part of yours for a show? Is it the show itself, or is it bringing everybody in and meeting the people and all that stuff? Is it getting the initial sound checks? Like what do you look forward to in a show?
I would say
to tear down.
If I had to maybe do like a rating, I would say first is when we're in show and all the sound check stuff is figured out and all the little tweaks were made or problems figured out. But while we're in the show, let's say midway through or whatever, and it's just it's good. Mm-hmm. You're happy with it. And I think every sound guy, I'm my own worst critic. I mean, every show that I do, there's always something, I could have done this, or I could have done this better, or whatever. I'm always kind of evaluating my mixes, typically. I would say that's my first favorite part of a show. It's just, especially when you're looking at the audience and they're just like, they're in it. There's nothing else in their vision besides the band, besides what they're doing, whether it be rock, singer-songwriter, whatever the genre is. Just allowing the people just be like in awe of what's happening. And then I would say my next favorite part would be the sound check, and figuring out the band's needs, and then, you know, I tend to typically, at least at the venue, you know, I'll sound check a little bit louder, just so I understand if I need to get that loud. If there's any, let's say, feedback issues or low end issues, whatever it may be. Just trying to figure out all the kinks early on. I kind of like doing that because it's just fun to figure stuff out. And, you know, like, let's say I want to try something different. Like, that's the time to try stuff different, not in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
You don't try something in the middle. Don't do that. But during the sound check, it gives you an opportunity to, you know, try using an effect that you normally wouldn't, or a mixing technique that you maybe read up, you know, watched a video on YouTube or whatever. So I would definitely say that those are like my two favorite things. And then it is always nice when the show is done and the band is happy and everybody's leaving and they're like, that was awesome, and you hear people talking about it, and
you get the reward.
Yeah, I mean,
it's at that point.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I don't, you know, it's just like anybody's job. I don't think you don't do it because you want to hear people thank you all day long, but it definitely feels good when people appreciate it, because, you know, you do put, you know, a lot of years have gone into, you know, my career and trying to figure things out, and it's really humbling that people would actually come up and say something. Mm-hmm. I know I'm one to go up to sound guys at shows and be like, oh, what were you using? And by the way, it sounded great. I remember seeing Sugar Rose at Chicago Theater, and they had an impressive, I mean, I've heard their music before. It's Atlantic, so I have no idea what they're saying, because you can't understand anything, but it's so beautiful. And I've gone to sleep to their music sometimes because it's so peaceful, and I had to drink coffee at the show because their music wants to put me to sleep. But I went up to the sound guy, and I went up to the visual arts guy and the lighting guy, and just said, your show was just perfect. You had the visuals, the sound, I mean, everything was and they were just, hey, thanks a lot, man, I really appreciate that. You know, so I think it's I tend to do that at shows too, is where I go up to the sound and be like, I've seen this band a bunch of times, you know.
The band can whatever. The band's the band.
I enjoy meeting the bands too, but it's also fun just talking to the sound guys. You know, because they're the ones that are faced with, you know, some, you know, sonically challenging rooms or situations or whatever.
Yeah, and I like talking to the sound guys because I like getting into the technical things. Like, you know, we're always talking to musicians and stuff and getting into the worlds of songwriting and artistry and stuff, but, you know, sometimes I really just like, yeah, I know, influences, cool. Like, I like to get into the technical aspects as well and really get into the nitty-gritty of like, okay, but why does this tone work so dang good? Right. And you get that if sound guys are willing to kind of give you some time to talk about it. What's your favorite instrument to mic and, you know, get sounding good live?
Wow, I have actually never been asked that question. Favorite instrument?
I got one in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me 1, Adela 0.
If
not even here.
Yeah. I don't. Where is she? Maybe she's behind the curtain.
She's waiting.
Yeah. She's waiting to just stick her head out and ask a question.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna just say something different because it's an instrument that I never knew that I really enjoyed hearing live. Banjo. Yeah. We've had multiple banjo players come in. Hey, Nonny. I would say, you know, banjo and mandolin are both two, which is, you know, for me, I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of metal, a lot of hard rock, and then getting older, I've mellowed out a lot. But I mean, we've had several artists. I think there was one artist that she played very melodically. Chicago band, Joybird, I believe is the name of the band. And I was just like, wow, I've never, you know, you think banjo, you think honky tonk, like, But I mean, really, I mean, let's face it.
Right.
I mean, anybody think banjo, you think that's, you know, at least that's what I thought of.
Or maybe now, like, the one picking pattern that Mumford and Sons does every song.
Exactly. But I think it's become an instrument that I love to hear, because I've just heard it played in such a beautiful melodic sense.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll just go direct, and then I can put like a smidgen of reverb on it, and it just sounds really rich. You know, even acoustic guitar, I would say. I really, you know, it's like we had the Arcadian Wild, you know, last weekend, and
amazing guys.
Oh my gosh,
Phenomenal music.
Yeah,
songwriting,
everything about them
harmonies
is it's I mean, upright bass. It's I think a band like that. It's what's fun is it's all acoustic instruments. So even though it takes a little bit more time to tweak them live and to figure them out, I think I really like trying to find a way to naturally represent those instruments so they don't sound too synthetic or over processed or whatever. You know, a band like that, you know, you have to figure out nuances with the microphone on the bass, let's say, or, you know, there's lots of different, you know, sonic problems you can come up with, but I would just, gosh, now I went from banjo to like all these. See, it's just like, you know, it's spiral into all these different things, but it's just, I don't know. I find the challenge to be fun, but I mean, banjo, mandolin, upright bass are just, I don't know, they just sound beautiful to me. They really do. Yeah,
and I'm discovering more bands using them in newer, fresher ways, maybe less traditional. It's not always just like some bluegrass band,
right?
You know,
and I've heard we've had, you know, bluegrass guys, and they've blown my mind. But yeah, just, you know, there's a band, there's a big modern band, Judah and the Lion, where they have mandolin, banjo, acoustic, and it's interesting how they've even been able to kind of bring those three instruments together and then add some electronics, and then it's like, what is this genre? Which I've seen them. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've
genreless.
I've seen them live, and their live show is, you know, super energetic and awesome. But yeah, those it's just interesting what's been happening, you know, seeing those instruments more at the forefront. But yeah, I would definitely say those are, you know, definitely some favorites to do.
So banjo, just for my own curiosity now, is there usually, because I've only seen a couple banjo players live, one of them being Ryan Burns of Ryan Burns and the Vocal Ghosts. Is it usually like a jack, like a plug-in, just 1/4 inch, or are there banjos that don't have any kind of electronics in it and you have to put like a...
Most of the time they have their own. I've even had bands, I can't remember what band it was, where we taped a microphone on the inside of it. I don't remember, of course, I mean, I don't remember the what came of that, if it was a good thing or a bad thing. I can't remember that right now. But I would say most of the time they have their own pickup. But even, you know, let's say like a mandolin, same thing, they'll have their own, you know, output jack, and then sometimes they'll also have a built-in mic as well, so it'll be a combination. So you're capturing the attack of the actual instrument itself, but then you have a mic that kind of captures maybe some of the low end or more of the natural resonance of the instrument, not so much of the, you know, the kind of, I don't want to say tinny, but just the bridge, how it's just, I don't know. But that's always interesting how those two can kind of be blended,
right?
When it comes to either banjo or mandolin or whatever.
I had that same pickup setup on an old acoustic guitar, and I didn't discover that I had that. Like, there was a mic inside it too.
Oh wow!
Just the jack. I didn't discover that until it all like broke.
Oh,
it's like a cheap Ibanez, you know, thing, and we were trying to fix it. And it's like, I don't know if this is worth it, but that's cool that they put a mic in there too, and you were kind of mixing both sounds. But with the reason I'm curious about the banjo, because the banjo to me is always deceivingly loud.
It can be,
but like every time I go to pick up a banjo and mess with it, a friend's banjo or something, I'm always surprised with how loud it can get when it's just like this drum thing.
I know.
I'm like, how is it producing the sound? It's so... What?
Yeah, no, I would... I mean, because there's times where I only have to amplify... I mean, it depends on the band, but, you only have to amplify it so much in a small room.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they can be pretty loud, but then it depends on the player too. If they're playing very soft and melodically, dynamically, that's always kind of cool because then it gives you more room to, ride the fader or, whatever, EQ it differently. But yeah, it is a very interesting instrument because you wouldn't. It's like, is it soft? Is it loud? Yeah.
I guess I just have a guitarist's touch to it every time I try and play it.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
just one volume.
Van Halen on a banjo. I'm kidding. I don't like Van Halen. I know. Hot take right there. Sorry, guys. I
don't like AC/DC.
Me neither. I mean, I used to like them, but then here's what did it for me. This also goes for Van Halen. I really started to pay attention to vocalists' tones, and that destroyed a lot of bands for me. Because AC/DC's tone, it's like all the time. It's just like it's like, okay, can you maybe bring it down a bit? Maybe a song or two? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll admit that they did a lot for rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah,
and
sure.
they influenced guitar players big time. Right, of course.
I appreciate the songwriting and the guitarists and the skills and stuff, but as like melodic vocalists go,
right?
Like,
well, it's like it's crazy how those two bands they have insanely. I mean, I would definitely say Eddie Van Halen. I mean, he's a god in the guitar world.
Literally.
But Angus, I just never did anything. And plus, when I first started doing sound, in the cover band scene in Chicago, different kind of genres are popular for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started doing sound, a lot of 70s and 80s was, the big main things that I mixed. So there's a lot of AC/DC, a lot of Journey. I've heard Jesse's Girl more times than I care to admit.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So I don't.
Cringe.
I don't ever need to hear AC/DC ever in my life. But again, saying that, but I will also still say that they did a lot for music, and they have influenced hundreds, if not thousands, of guitar players. I mean, because if we didn't have AC/DC or Van Halen, who knows what bands we would not have today?
Yeah. And how long would it take for that like tapping stuff to come in?
Right.
Or just they really helped bring their genres to a new level. Like AC/DC just brought this really just hard rockin' sound for pretty simple stuff, and then Van Halen took that and just shredded it up a bit more so. But
how many guitar players? I mean, I'm sure you as a guitar player, didn't you try the two-hand tapping at some point just to see? I mean,
yeah, without any just to mess around.
Right.
I was joking, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't actually that." Like, if I were to sit down and practice it for weeks, I'd be like, "Okay, I could probably get pretty good at this for just half-assing it right now."
Yeah.
Once you get the rhythm of it, it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. But what really made me actually want to try it for real was seeing John Frusciante do that in a live version of "Don't Forget Me."
Oh wow!
He went crazy, and I think there was a bit of a echo or delay effect that he had on too, so it made it sound even faster. And it was just the coolest sound, because "Don't Forget Me" is a more melancholic song. It's not super rockin', it's not funky like other stuff, but to have him add this whole level of ambiance with these really fast note tappings, and it all just builds up to the big chorus, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
So check that. That's a guitar player that, I mean, I don't want to say I forget about him, but I mean, I do.
Yeah.
There's so much music out there that it's kind of hard to. I mean, the last few weeks I've been on this kick of adding new music to my library, and it's almost. I think I've added an album to my music just about every other day the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's just been overload of new music.
Right. And that's that's a fun place to be in. But
it is.
It's hard to remember everybody.
Right. I'm horrible with song titles. I'm horrible with album titles. I mean, unless I've listened to the album a million times, I can't tell you. I mean, just some of the newer albums, I can't tell you the names of them or what's my favorite song. I can tell you maybe the song number, maybe, or I can attempt to do the melody of a song, but again, keyword attempt.
Yeah. Now, going back to like the vocalist thing, because I'm curious as a vocalist singer myself. Yeah, I'm still critical and hate calling myself a musician.
You sing though, I've heard.
I do.
Yeah, so you can call yourself a singer, but I can respect that. The vocalist term.
Yeah, it's because I started out doing like the Anthony Kiedis stuff, like the talk, singing, rapping type thing.
That's awesome.
And for better or worse, that made me, have to kind of like relearn singing in ways, because the way he sings is not always the most correct way for
No, absolutely.
good stuff. But it's a good way to get energy out. But anyways, there's a whole crazy variety of different ways, of different singers, of different ways to sing and produce tone. Are vocals, like, how hard are they to mix live, from singer to singer? Is there singers that you have to work with where it's like, they're really trebly or something, and it's kind of muddying up this range of frequencies, or maybe like a really low singer are vocals hard to place in a live
they can be. There's a lot of factors. It factors to their voice, what kind of microphone, because different microphones have, tailored sounds. You go for like a SM58, it's kind of flat sounding. Mm-hmm. Beta 58, it's a lot brighter. And then you have, Sennheiser microphones. A lot of their mics tend to be a little brighter, in my opinion. There's a lot of factors into it. Some vocals can be incredibly easy. You figure out the gain, give it a little bit of headroom in case they start yelling. Bring in their monitor, I always like to bring it up in the PA first so I can hear it in the house, and then I EQ what frequencies I think can be cut. Mm-hmm. You don't want to hear like the sibilance. It's oh my gosh, it drives me nuts when you go to a show or you just hear the S's really, really strong. So I tend to just try to hear it in the room first, I EQ it from there, and then I'll give it give some to the artist in the monitor. But it just varies show to show. And the room. Go from Hey Nonny, it's a small room, to let's say a church that can hold 2,000 people. There's going to be a huge difference in how you possibly might EQ the vocals, and how the subs are set. There's a lot of different factors in. So, to answer your question in a very long way, it could be easy, but it can also be difficult. It just varies show to show and room to room.
Is there any advice that you could give like vocalists or any performer on any instrument? Man, I'm on the struggle bus today. Is there any advice that you would give to the performers to take into consideration for the sound guy? Are there what pet peeves have you come across that are like, can you guys stop doing that? Like, I know the most cliche is the guitarist always turns his amp up more and more. You say turn it down and he turns it up. But, is there stuff that singers can do that they don't know about usually?
Number one, stop cupping the microphone. You're not a rapper, and you're not cool for doing it, and you're not a metal vocalist. I can say that because I used to do it all the time. There's pictures of me. I was just going through some old pictures, and I'm just literally, and I'm not going to do it, but literally just, it's just, I don't know why.
That one's popular in the
right now.
Yeah.
I mean it.
It's definitely the most seen in metal and pop punk or emo, screamo stuff. Anything where you're you don't have the full scream, so you kind of have to cup it.
Don't get me wrong. For the screaming stuff, I understand what it does, and I get it, but stop it. It's just it's and then you make some monitor feedback if the monitor's super loud and whatever, and then they blame the sound guy or whatever. But, just in general, I'll tell people, whether it be, let's say, a presenter, I'm doing corporate, or, even new performers, they realize if they get really close to the mic, is it bad? I would just try to have good microphone technique, certain microphones, it's, it varies, because some microphones you really have to be on it.
Yeah.
Let's say an SE V7 is a mic that you want to be right on it. You don't want to be way back here. You kind of want to be on it, or a Shure KSM8, same thing. But an SM58, you 1 to 2 inches typically. I would say within an inch preferably, but then not. Don't put it in your mic. Don't put it in your mouth either. That's not good. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So don't cup it and don't put the microphone in your mouth. I think those are two good points to take from this conversation.
Good. Yeah, and I've seen both those things too many times where it needs to be said.
Yeah, it's like, is this a snack? No, it's not. It's not a lollipop. Stop it. Yeah.
And then on the opposite side of that, I've had a mic where I don't know if it was this sound guy or the mic, but I was afraid to get close to it. I felt like it was picking me up so well from maybe almost 2 fists from my face. I was like, yeah. Or like some of the high notes, I was like, like I didn't even want to be near the mic for some high notes. It was picking up everything like super.
I mean, that could be, they could have the gain way up.
Yeah.
I mean, because it all starts with input gain. You set it correctly. It all starts there. So if that's too hot, then that could be recipe for disaster. From feedback in your monitors to feedback in the mains. And then you have clipping, distorting if the singer is right on it and they start yelling.
Yeah.
And I would just say, if you're singing quieter, be sure that you're on the microphone and don't sing over here or over here. The microphone is your friend, as I tell, the corporate guys that go up and they're not used to it, and then they're literally holding, hello everybody, I'm here to talk to you.
Like a news reporter?
Yeah. I mean, those microphones are made to do that.
Right.
But live microphones, it's like, just bring that guy up here. It's your friend. Just listen to me.
Is there anything that like guitarists or bassists do? Let's just stick with the traditional 4-piece band.
Quit turning your amps up.
Yeah.
I joke around. There's actually, it's just, do you want to sound good or do you want your band to sound good? I respect musicians that they need to hear themselves. Especially, I feel bad for bass players because the way low frequencies work, if you're standing right next to your bass amp, sometimes you can have it pretty loud and you may not feel it, or you may not hear it really well. So bass players tend to try to turn up, but I always tell them, I could put it in your monitor so it's aimed right at you. I realize it's not the same thing than coming from like a 4x10 cabinet or an 8x10. Please don't bring an 8x10 to Hey Nonny. I would deny you entry. Can
you show on the camera like how tall the
8x10 is? About this tall. I mean, it's 8 10-inch speakers in a cabinet. Yeah. You don't want to bring a cabinet like that into a room that can hold 110 people. Don't do that. There's a lot of don't do that's in this episode of yours. I probably sound like a cynical sound guy, but
I think it's because it's I feel like it's a lot easier to mess up sound than it is to get it sounding really good. I mean, so a lot of those don't do that's are the first things you need to learn before you can do all the other fine tuning.
Right. I mean, in guitar players, same thing. I know some guys like to turn up because they want to hear themselves. But I just tell them, hey, can you just bring it down for the room? And then most guitar players are cool and they understand that even a tube amp that has one speaker can literally fill a room. And there are times where I've mixed shows and where I may not have that be as prominent in the PA because of the stage volume being loud. But I mean, it just helps me because then if I can amplify, the guitar amp with the instruments and do it evenly, then it's helping the band be represented better. Because if you're, is stage, the amp is there and someone's, over here and over here, and I have 2 speakers, hung up on the ceiling. If they're over here, they'll be able to hear, and it's coming through those. They can hear it evenly. Versus, let's say it's not in the PA and it's just super loud, and you're just like, it's just coming from one source. Versus being evenly distributed on the mains. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's every show. Just sometimes you just deal with it, and I don't like tell band like, oh, you can't do that or whatever. I mean, I just roll with it. I mean, especially like blues guys. A lot of those guys have been playing a long time, and hearing loss is really common. A lot of musicians, especially guys that have been playing for 20 or 30 years.
Right.
That's a huge problem with the guys that have been playing a long time. So they're just used to having their amp at a certain volume. And you know what? I just go, okay, cool. I just roll with it. I mean, yeah, I would love everything to be at a perfect level on stage, but I think part of being a sound guy is, you want things to be your way, but a lot of the times they're not going to go your way, and you just have to kind of find a way to work with whatever you're given and be cool about it. I mean, and having the good attitude, going back to having a good attitude.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that every position during a show needs to keep with them, is that good attitude, because it can so quickly devolve into little bitter, snarky comments if something's not going their way, or like I've had it on both ends. I've had a sound guy that's getting snippy at a player, or I've had the players get snippy at the sound guy, or anybody, lights and stuff.
Well, I mean, let's say you show up to play at a venue and you're in a band, your band, traffic was horrible, you're late for load in, you're frustrated because traffic was bad, and then you load in, and then the sound guy, well, you're late, and then starts giving you attitude, and then you're supposed to sound check having that bad traffic, and you're mad about that, and then the sound guy's being a jerk because you tried to get there on time, but it wasn't your fault. And then you're going to sound check, you're supposed to pour your heart into these songs that you wrote. I mean, what good is it? I mean, yeah, sure, maybe there's times where you want to be upset at a band for whatever reason, but you have to, and I try to realize, especially at the venue or wherever I'm at, it's like I'm the last person they might interact with before the show. Like, I need to give them, I need to be positive about it, because I don't want to risk being the guy that set off one of the dudes in the band to have a bad show. I mean, that's not cool. Even though you may have an opinion or whatever, right. Just your opinion doesn't matter. Just make the point is, I learned this actually at a Philo conference that I was mentioned earlier, First In Last Out, and one of the biggest takeaways that I took away from this conference was, it was mainly for church texts, but all these other, is the word serve. And being a sound guy, you're there to serve the band. The band is there to serve the people, and then your sound guy, it's just like a cycle. You're there to serve, and if part of that is making the show happen, no matter what happens, I mean, that's just part of it. You try to serve the band in such a way that they're represented in a good way, and then the people can come and get a good vibe from the band, and then it all is good. I mean, it's that word kind of, I've almost thought about putting that word just on the council itself where I work, at multiple places as a reminder, because there are times where, like not everything's sunshine and rainbows, and you're mad at a certain situation, or even let's say a band member gives you a bad attitude, which doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. Yeah. Serve. And just remember that.
Wow, that's such a good way of looking at it. That just the word alone, serve, is because it brings me back to when I just served as a waiter. And like, I could be having the crappiest day, but you clock in, you put on your little apron thingy, the checkbooks and stuff, and you're out there making somebody's night more enjoyable. It's not like they don't give a crap that you're having a bad day, or you got in a fight just before this, or the manager's yelling at you in the back for whatever reason, because they don't know any of that. So if you bring that attitude, you're just not going to get a good tip, or they're not going to have a great night, and that sucks too.
Because they came to the establishment to have a great night, and to escape their whatever's going on in their lives, or just date night or whatever. So just
it's your job to help make that happen,
right?
So that's cool.
It's
the attitude that you bring, because that can so quickly get rid of any kind of like arguments that might break out. If you're just thinking in the mindset like, all right, well, I don't know what they're going through. I'm just gonna try and do my best job to make sure that the show goes great for them.
No, absolutely.
You're a great sound man, and you're a great man. Because I've seen so many situations, not even at like my own shows, but just like professional shows. Like you can tell that there's some back and forth going on between the sound crew and the guys on stage, and it's just like awkward too for the audience if it's really getting brought out. I've seen some crazy
no good.
things.
I mean, it's just. I mean, people came to see a show, not an argument or a fight or whatever.
Yeah. It's weird when that happens, but yeah, if they just think, and both, I think bands should also adopt that mentality too. Like, you're serving the audience here. You're not serving your own egos or anything.
Right.
You're serving the people who came here to have a good time and listen to music.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most bands have that attitude, but I think it's a nice reminder. I mean, I have to remind myself sometimes. I mean, you have a bad day, you have sleep deprived, stress, whatever.
So many things.
Right. I mean, it's life.
Yeah.
But you have to, when you're behind that board and you're getting a band up and going, no matter if you like the music, no matter if you're mad, no matter what the situation is, you are there to make the show happen. The show must go on.
Yeah.
You know, and no matter what. And you just kind of have to have that mentality to make things happen.
Beautifully put. And my Dan Dick translation: don't be a dick. That's my job.
That's good.
So let's get into all the goods that Hey Nonny has to offer right now. We've talked about the room a little bit.
Yeah.
But for people who haven't been there yet, when they walk in, what can they expect? Like when I walked in, I was actually kind of surprised with how cozy it was. I mean, again, that was my fault for going in with expectations. But it's this like really nice, just chill. There's tables for dining and stuff. Is that always the case? Is it always dining shows, or is there some standing room only shows?
We do a few standing room only shows.
Okay.
So typically when you walk up, I mean, right now with Arlington Al Fresco, they've closed off the downtown, as you saw, and we have been able to expand our patio seating, which has been awesome.
Sorry, I have a drinking problem.
That's great. Some people have a different type of drinking problem. Good thing you don't have that.
Thanks, Airplane, for that joke.
So you walk up, and we've been able to expand our outdoor seating, which is awesome. You know, due to the pandemic. You know, the whole Arlington Al Fresco, all the restaurants been able to help save their businesses. So you first encounter that, which is great because, I mean, we have like 30 tables outside. You walk in, you are then greeted to the left is a 110 capacity seated venue with cabaret seats and, sorry,
You're
not professional. We have cabaret seating, and then we have premier tables that are slightly elevated to where people can have, full service at those tables. There's 16 seats in those tables. They're in the back, but they're elevated, so you can see everybody better, and then you have an actual, full menu service there. So that's kind of nice. And then there's some standing room and some general admission on those shows as well. Cabaret seating is offered like a small venue menu of beers, cocktails, and small appetizers like little sliders and stuff. So that's kind of the venue, and then full service bar as well. And then what's really cool, and I don't know if you saw it open at the end of the show or not, but we have a wall that separates the venue from the bistro side. So there's this wall that's like a garage door that literally folds up into the ceiling that separates the two.
Yeah, I think I saw it at the end. I was confused for a couple minutes. I was like, I couldn't see through to the
there.
I think there was a wall there.
Yeah.
Am I losing my mind?
It's the owners did a really great job of just, I mean, they pretty much almost thought of everything when when they were designing the place. So then it opens up to the bistro side with the full service bar, and I want to say there's 50 to 60 seats in there. You have a kind of like a bench full of with tables and chairs along one wall, and then you have some taller premier table seatings along the windows. So that's just like the bistro. But what's really cool about the wall opening, we have brunches on the weekends. Saturdays we have bluegrass brunches, so there's live music on stage. The wall is open, and then
everyone
people
in the bistro side can still hear the
exactly.
music. Okay.
Well, and we have speakers in that room as well as outdoor speakers. So no matter where anybody's sitting, they're going to hear the music better in the venue side because it's on the stage. But no matter where they're sitting, they're going to hear whoever's on stage, which is kind of cool.
That is really cool.
That's and awesome. Then it's again great design.
Genius.
And then Sundays is like a jazz brunch. When we have as you saw, we have a grand piano that we can, and it does not live on stage the whole time. It actually has a little piano nook that just wheels away and enables us to do full band shows. I'm really thankful it doesn't live on stage all the time because that would kind of stink.
Yeah, a little tight up there then.
But so that's kind of the layout of Hey Nonny itself. But then, I think is the show that you got to see with Pino. A lot of our shows we do like a listening room experience. So we kind of talk to our audience, Chip Brooks or Chris Dungan or even Matt Rusinek, our promotions manager. So Chip and Chris are the owners. Matt is our promotions manager, and they'll kind of give a little speech before the show, especially if it's a listening room experience, to explain to the audience. We're putting good music on this stage. You paid good money to see this artist, and we just expect your attention to go to the artist because it's our stage is very inviting for like storytelling. I've seen so many artists, and maybe that's part of their show, but I think because of the intimacy of our room, I think it's an inviting experience for artists to, before they play a song, they go, oh, you know what? I'm going to tell the story as to why I wrote this song because there's 110 people in here, and this just seems cool to share that. So that's what's really fun is that, I get to mix for the people, not over the people. Because when people are talking in like your typical bar, you have to turn the volume up all the way, and it's, not really that fun. But that's always really awesome to have that listening experience. A handful of our shows are that way. Some of the jazz stuff. I'm trying to think here. Who do we just have? Joyce Boys, for instance, we had an Irish band last night. It wasn't necessarily listening because it's Irish,
right?
Irish music. So there's some singing and clanging of drinks, but it was fun. Every show is going to be different. Miles Nielsen, that was a rock show, so there's a little bit more some talking. But then the songs were it's mellow. It was so quiet in there because people are just like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole between the layout and then experience of different types of shows.
So, yeah, that's awesome that you can be so versatile with it. Because I only saw the one show there. It was very much like the listening room experience. But it's so cool to hear that you can open the walls and you got the brunches that, everyone can listen to. And you even had like the rock bands there. Is that where you do you take away tables to allow more standing room for that?
So we for the for rock shows we'll still do this typical cabaret seating, 110 seats as normal. But then when we have a band that, let's say, we're expecting a larger crowd, I'm trying to think. Freddie Jones Band is a Chicago. I think they're a Chicago band. Now they kind of live all over the place.
Right.
But we had to do standing room because they're going to attract a lot more than 110 people, let's say. So when we do standing room, we still have the 16 premier tables that gets you, full menu service and a server. But then we do total for the room 150. So it really kind of expands our capabilities, capacity to do louder rock shows. We don't do that a lot. Just because I think we do more the cabaret seating, it just seems to work. We're in the suburbs. People want to sit.
Yeah.
It's just more comfortable. Who wants to stand for a show? I'm 37. I want to sit and watch a show now.
There are times where, like, so for example, one of my favorite ska bands, ska punk, ska, I don't know, they're their own thing too. Streetlight Manifesto. They're
Oh wow.
they're
Okay.
like, they have 5 horns, guitar, bass, drums, like huge horn compositions for these songs, but they're really fast-paced, upbeat, energetic. And I used to be like in the pit almost the entire show. And as the years go on, you start taking breaks outside of the pit, and then you go to the show and it's like, do I want to go in the pit?
Do I want to get hurt?
Do I want to? I don't
Do I want
know.
to be really sore the next day and regret jumping in the pit?
So now I'm at the point where I'm going in the pit for a bit, and then I get out and like find a comfortable spot. Most venues that I see that band in, they'll have like an upper place with seating. And I always thought, like, man, I'm never going to sit for these shows. And then it's like, I kind of want to sit.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the music.
It changed. I mean, there's still shows that I think I still like to be in the thick of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say one of my favorite bands to see live is 311. I mean, their live show is, I mean, not only do they sound perfect from, the drums to, S.A. and Nick, their vocals just be blending perfectly. Guitars, bass, everything, but I mean, it makes you want to be energetic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm going to jump in the mosh pit if there is one. It's just more dancing, more jumping around, whatever. Right. But it's just, that's just a fun band to see live. Which hopefully I have tickets to go see them next month at Northerly Island, which I'm very excited about. Although they're doing seats in general admission area, which I'm wondering.
That's interesting.
It is. I don't know.
Because I know they had like the bleachers.
They have the bleachers, but most of the time they have that all open. But they are, for this show, they're doing a bunch of seats.
Maybe they're just trying to space it out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess I'll find out on September 10th.
Huh. Not too long of a wait. That should be good.
Yeah.
What then is coming up for Hey Nonny? Is there any standout artists? No, not to like play favorites here. I'm sure they're all great, but is there any ones in particular that you would want to shout out? That'd be particularly good recommends for first-time attendees.
There's many different artists here that I'm looking at. Yeah,
we got quite the variety.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends. You know what? I'll break it down with some genres, so that way I can try to cover everybody and not play favorites. Let's start with jazz, because at the top, if you noticed our fancy rack cards. You can do a screenshot of that, or you can zoom in on his. Or there we go.
We also got weekly specials.
Yes, we can flip it over, and our weekly specials. I'm probably presenting this horribly. Not used to this. I'm behind. I'm usually behind the tech stuff, so
I feel like that awkward, charming sales pitch gets more people than a legitimate.
It's more authentic. Yeah, it's more authentic. So let's start with jazz. Paul Wardico, who is an amazing drummer. He's played there before on August 21st. Paul Wardico and friends with John Mulder and Eric Hochberg, which I apologize from saying that name wrong to Eric. Let's see, we've got a comedy night coming up, so that's been kind of a new thing. We've been having comedy about once.
Yeah, that'd be a great spot for.
Yeah, I mean, it's something new that we're trying out. Yeah. I mean, we've tried it out a few times, and it's kind of seems to be taking off a little bit. There's a lot of comedy clubs, and we don't. And I think that's the thing. We don't want to be one thing. I mean, we as you can see, jazz, folk, pop, rock, blues, whatever. So we've got comedy coming up. Jeffrey Gaines, that's going to be a really great show. He's a really great singer-songwriter. And I would say that's, this week we've got Steve Dawson on Tuesday, Daniel Bennett Group, that's another great jazz show. The best thing to do for people, obviously, is go to heynonny.com.
Is Daniel Bennett the YouTube guy? Or is that David Bennett? No.
Which
is funny because my brother's David. So I'm like the Daniel David thing.
Oh, nice.
Anyways.
And so I would say that those are some shows this month that I, just really stick out to me. A blues show this month I would say is Leslie Mendelson. It's on a Sunday, which is kind of different for us. I think that's like a 4 p.m. show on Sunday the 22nd. And so those are some August shows. And then if I was to go over...
Which you can also find the entire calendar online as well, right?
Yeah, I really recommend, you go online and, I definitely sign up for our email blast, which is a nice thing about our email blast. Not only do you have upcoming shows in there, but then we actually have this rack card at the beginning or at the end of our email blast. So let's say you just wanted to take a picture of your phone or just save the image itself. You literally scroll down to the bottom of the page, you click on it, it opens up as like a document.
That's convenient.
And then you screenshot it, and then you have it on your phone versus, having a piece
find
of
it
paper.
easy in your gallery.
Exactly. Then we've got, this is really cool. We're doing
September now.
Yes, September. I would definitely say Josh Caterer, who is a really, I don't know if you're familiar with the Smoking Popes. He
sounds familiar.
They've been a Chicagoland for a long time. But he's now actually, he's in a blues band, but we're doing this Tuesday night music club, new thing that we're kind of trying out, kind of inviting musicians every month for, I want to say it's going to be like the first Tuesday of every month. Every month we're going to have somebody different, and they'll come up with, themselves or their band or whatever, and kind of like, like a storytellers type thing where maybe it gives them a chance to play some of their songs, maybe talk about their songs or, whatever. That's going to be really cool. Josh Caterer's excellent musician and a really cool person. Crystal Bowersox, those shows are actually, I want to say they're almost sold out. She's toured the country. Singer-songwriter, kind of maybe a hint of blues, maybe. I'm trying to remember what she sounds like, but I just know that she's really good.
Can I ask about the Love and Rock concert musical To the Woman Who Rock Unplugged?
Oh, yeah. So that is a show that this guy, Nick, has put together. And actually, the first time they did it at Hey Nonny, it was sold out. And it's quite interesting. If you go on our website and you can watch the video, and they kind of built this kind of like a promo video from that show. And, they set up all these kind of crazy looking candles. And I want to say there was like 8 of them on stage. Kind of basically acoustic unplugged. I didn't work that show, but I heard really good things from the tech, and I know they're really happy. So that's kind of different because, if you notice, definitely something worth mentioning. We do mostly original music at our club.
Oh yeah, duh. We should have opened with that.
Yeah. You could. Yeah. I would say 80, if not 90% of the talent that we bring in is a lot of it's original music. Now, a lot of blues guys are going to do some of your blues classics, whatever.
Right. It's kind of standard for that.
Or even the brunches. There's a lot of jazz covers or bluegrass covers, that sort of thing. But for our ticketed shows, we do mostly originals, which is really cool.
Yeah. There's not a lot of places that I know of in the burbs that do that, and on such a level that you're doing it at Hey Nonny. Like, you got your small little venues that are kind of built on just getting local people in, but anything like bigger, it's mostly just they want the cover acts because it's like a guarantee, I guess, that it'll bring people in their opinion.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of great cover bands
in
Chicago, but I think we wanted, the owners really wanted to create a space for original artists to share their craft with people, whether it be local, regional, or whatever. They just wanted to be inviting to those types of people. Because let's face it, there's a ton of venues for cover bands. Tons of them.
Yes.
And that's great. I think that's really important. And I've done sound for a lot of great cover bands. But let's face it, it's nice to go see an original artist and see them pour their heart out over their own songs and their own craft, and just and have that space to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so even like September we have like Chris Green Quartet, that's jazz, Billy Flynn blues, and then you got blues Josh Caterer, but then you got another jazz, but then you go down to like Lauren Berman, who is cabaret music, so it's kind of piano with 3 vocals, kind of more theater-esque type show. Dan Tedesco, who is a great songwriter, who's from Iowa, who's actually, and that's a prime example actually of an artist that I think he maybe first played there, maybe opening for somebody, or maybe played there by himself, and ticket sales were like, they were like okay or whatever, but then he played there again. The crowd grew, and then he played there again, and it full house. Wow. So it's cool to work in a place where you actually get to see. There's venues throughout the city, like, let's say Double Door. I mean, how many artists got their start playing there? And it became a place that was a staple in the Chicagoland music scene, where artists really got to, just craft their sound or build a following or whatever. Even the Blue Note, which was across the street, just down a little bit, which obviously both of those aren't there anymore.
Unfortunately,
Double Door is opening back up though.
Are they
new location?
Okay, so it's the same guys from Double Door.
Yep, it's the same guys. Going to be the same production guys too, from what I know. It's going to be sometime in the fall, but awesome. Those are venues that people, even Metro. I mean, gosh, that's a place that and that's still going. Mm-hmm. These are venues that Metro's been around for I don't even know how many years now. I've seen a ton of shows there from when I was in high school to. Yeah, maybe. 80s. But I mean,
at least early 90s.
I mean, Pumpkins played there. Yeah. One of another favorite. I know Deftones played. That's another favorite band of mine.
Streetlight Manifesto played there.
Oh, there you go.
One of my first shows.
But, I would just say, definitely, check out the website. I will have to say, plug one show that that I am incredibly excited about because I am a fan of his. That's Cass Haley with Dakota Mucky on Sunday, September 26th. That is going to be really cool. He's got a really interesting sound. He and his family kind of plays in his band. I want to say his son plays bass. I know his wife sings with him a little bit. He's got some really cool music. He's got a really cool voice too. It's kind of like a little singer-songwriter mixed with like a little hint of reggae.
Oh, okay. Cool. I always love the tone of like reggae singers.
Yeah.
Even if they're not like Jamaican, they all try to have some kind of Jamaican accent.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. It's I don't know how to.
There's like a
it.
reggae inflection with melodies,
and it's just feel good music is the best way I can describe it. So that'll be really cool. But obviously you see Private Nonny. We have Nonny Club, which is an annual subscription people can sign up for. We generally, I want to say, we sign people up in the fall. And then people can actually get access to tickets ahead of time. So we send our email blasts out every Thursday, but then we send out a Nonny Club email every Tuesday that gives people a 2-day head start to buy tickets for shows that go on sale. And then we'll have exclusive events for our Nonny Club members. They'll get a shirt that'll say Nonny Club on it. Instead of just Hey Nonny, you can purchase these shirts at our venue. Obviously I've done this before.
Yes.
Not.
We're master hand models.
Yep. Yeah. And let's you can do this. Yeah, here we go. This is official right here.
I feel like have you ever seen Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby?
Oh wow, I haven't seen that in a long time.
What do I do with
What do I do with my hands? I don't know what is it? Yeah.
And they just keep popping up.
Yeah.
Put them down.
I'll just leave them right here. But it's a kind of a cool thing that people can, I want to say we usually open that up in the fall. So we'll have an exclusive show for those Nonny Club members, which is really cool. But we have a Facebook, Instagram people can follow as well. Easy to find.
I think what's not only the variety, but let's go off of that. I think it's so cool that you have the variety that you guys do, and that it's all original music, and it's something that people like. From what I know, I don't see like a mediocre group or like an average group on here, because now with the music industry, there's some like bleh out there that gets pretty big on the stages, and it's like, what? But it seems like you're getting like really just phenomenal people, and I think it's that consistency in originality and the variety that really helps like a music scene flourish. And I've been on like a early 60s through 70s kick right now.
Oh,
and
cool.
just researching all the bands and reading up on how they got their starts and yada yada yada. And back then what I noticed is that there were these venues that you could go to discover the next big thing or the newest like thing out there. And I feel like you guys almost kind of like are doing that with the variety that you provide here, is that, and with the consistency of talent, what I think, hopefully this will happen, and they're probably already doing this, but they'll just trust you guys as a venue so much that they might not even know who's playing, and they'll just go on a whim just because of the discovery aspect. Like, I feel like there's not that vibe as much anymore with a lot of venues. It's either you go because you know who's playing, or you're not going at all. And I think it would be great to see a lot more venues kind of make this the standard, where it's like, you might not know who's playing tonight, but we make it so cool here that you want to come anyways and just discover what we...
I would say that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
We have a lot of regulars that are very loyal fans of Hey Nonny in general, from our food and then our drinks, but then our staff. I mean, our staff is awesome. I mean, they've really become we're kind of like a work family, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the bartenders, servers, busboys, general manager, all of us. I mean, we're just promotions manager, even the owners. I mean, it's almost like a family like just a atmosphere. I'd say a family like atmosphere where sometimes you disagree with family members, whatever. But I mean, ultimately, we all really care about the place. And I think that's what a lot of our regulars, I think that they experience that. They experience from the person taking their order, from the bartender taking their drink order, to me behind the sound, to the busboy taking away their plates. Everybody cares, and let's face it. I mean, a lot of places aren't like that. We want to try to give people an experience there. We have, and it's so cool to see regulars, and I know them by name, they know me by name.
Yeah.
And, oh, hey Rob, how's it going? Hey, how's married life? And and this and that. It's cool. I mean, it being that we're a small place, and I'm really grateful for that. I mean, if we were a larger establishment, I think it'd be hard to have that type of intimate relationship type of thing. But it's really cool to see people. I'll have people and ask me, oh, hey, what do you know about this band? I'll have regulars ask me that, like, what do you think? And I'll be, if I know, I'll tell them.
Yeah. If
I don't know, I'll just be honest or lie and say, you need to go to the show because it's awesome. No, I mean, all shows are good, but I mean,
right.
It just, I see that definitely happening now, with people just coming in and kind of giving Hey Nonny a chance and just giving different shows a chance. It's awesome to see that, for sure.
I mean, it's awesome to see just as a music fan, because I feel like, in the burbs, there's not too many outlets for that, too many venues that are doing this, and so it's exciting to see all this happen, and it's just, we here at the Underbelly Hours really appreciate
Well, I think it's cool what you guys are doing. I think what you guys are doing too. You're trying to support local artists, give them a platform, and that's what's really cool. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And kind of like what I mentioned earlier, the consistency is so important, and that's kind of what we've been doing recently since we came back this year. It was this year that we came back. Yeah, January. Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies. But we kind of made a note to ourselves. It's like, all right, well, let's strip it down to just one guest per episode to really focus on them and cut out some fluff and just make sure that we're getting like the best that we can get so that our audience, can gain a trust, or we can gain a trust from the audience that they might not know who's on the show, but they're going to tune in to maybe discover something new. And so it's cool to see that you're doing that for the live experience. We're just doing it to try and get who we like out there, who we think needs to be heard more, and you're, providing a place for these people to actually play and for people to discover them in the truest sense, live.
Absolutely. It's a really beautiful thing. I mean, and I'd say, it's people, let's say they just want to check out Hey Nonny, they're just curious. What's great is you could check out a ticket to show and just, gamble. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you could always, who doesn't like brunch?
Yeah.
I mean, just think, it's, what time is it? It's
go for a nice brunch.
Yeah, it's 4:15. I mean, I could go for brunch, but it wouldn't be considered brunch.
It wouldn't be brunch, but
but you know what I mean. Like,
I wake up late.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But I mean, they could come to a Saturday or Sunday brunch and just get a vibe off the place and check out the food, because the food there is awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could come, make a reservation, and just eat there, and then see whatever free live music is playing,
right.
And then check out the schedule from there.
And that's every Saturday.
Yeah, another
during brunch.
Shameless plug of.
Or if jazz is more your palate than Sunday during brunch, jazz brunch, and then if liquor is more your palate, then Heyday happy hour every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Which is actually another thing that's kind of cool is for our Heyday happy hour we have usually a singer-songwriter of some kind. That music, will be a lot of covers, mixed with some originals. But generally every Friday we'll have somebody different. This month we're doing something a little different where we actually gave kind of like a Heyday residency to this artist, West John. He is from Chicago, but then he moved to Arizona. But then he came into Chicago for the next couple months just to play out. And I thought, hey, this could be kind of cool. You could kind of have the residency for the month. That way you have a steady gig. And he already has, he's played 2 Fridays already. And there's already a few people that were, we came back to see you because we knew you were going to be back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is really cool, And yeah, he's doing some covers and, some of his originals. But he's another guy that, I used to work with him at Long Grove festivals, Apple Fest, Chocolate Fest, all those, whatever, festivals that are out there. So he's a musician that I've known for quite a few years. So it's kind of cool to see that, see him come back. And but every Friday, 4 to 6, it's just one person playing. Kind of gives somebody a chance to play out. And we're always, looking for new people to do that with. And we've got some regulars like Eric Quigley. He's Paulo Apuli. I don't know if you know these guys. Well, you know Eric.
I know Eric. Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, he's a really cool. His band actually, One More Moon, has played a couple of free shows. Because in Arlington Heights they have the Sounds of Summer, which is a little outdoor concert in the park. And so what we'll try to do is their show is 7 to 8:30, and then we'll just have free live music from 8:30 to 10 or so immediately following. We try to do that. This year was a little different because with the pandemic, they were not sure if they were going to do those outdoor shows. So it was announced a little last minute, so we just kind of had to figure out what shows we had to move to 8:30 if they were quieter shows, because those concerts out there get pretty loud.
Yeah.
But we made it work. You just like anything, you just find a way to make things work.
Well, I like the residency idea. I feel like more places should have some kind of day set aside for like a residency artist, because that's another, again, like that consistency aspect of, I think people just love to, go and kind of know what they're getting, or just discover and then go back and develop a relationship. And it's great for artists too, because that's, again, you're able to have that consistency in consistency in place and setting. And like, go back to the history books, a lot of the big bands from the 60s and 70s started out with residencies at clubs and stuff, and those opportunities just aren't really there that much anymore? Maybe it's because of the risk factor or just the... I don't know. Like,
I think people are afraid, like, maybe the repetitiveness, maybe. I mean, we'll try to, we don't typically do the same artist for the month. Mm-hmm. We typically don't do that, but with the Heydays, we try to have somebody different every Friday. But, like, let's say... But, I mean, we do have regular Heyday musicians, with
right.
Eric and Paulo, but then Zion... Rodman, he's another guy.
Love him too. He's
really, really cool.
Yeah.
We've got him on a couple of Heydays. Kim Schaefer is another singer-songwriter that's done Heyday. So it's a variety, and eventually maybe it'd be cool to have like a set. Oh, Ian Lath, he's another good one.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so he's played there multiple times. His band's done some free music nights there as well. Which is a good thing to offer occasionally, is just free live music.
Yeah.
Most of our shows are ticketed, but in the summer it's kind of hard to do a lot of ticketed shows. So sometimes we'll just offer, just book a band and do free live music and just get people in to eat and drink and have a good time.
Awesome. Well, I think that just about does it. I think we covered pretty much the whole gamut. Is there anything that you'd like to shout out before we kind of start wrapping this up?
You guys do lots of editing, right? So
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So
we can cut stuff out. Or
well, one thing I don't know if I should mention this or not. We now have a mandatory vaccine policy, which a lot of venues are. I don't know if I should maybe mention that as a. Well, we've gotten a lot of positive,
feedback?
A lot of positive feedback. A lot of negative as well.
They can just discover it then, maybe.
That might be...
We don't want to get this far and then have somebody be like, oh, vaccine, mandatory.
Yeah.
Bam.
I'm sorry, we're trying to keep people safe.
Yeah.
You just cut that part out.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that your thoughts too? I mean, it's literally on our website and on our Facebook. And people make us known by calling or telling us that we're acting like Nazis,
right?
Which is always great because
it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it does a lot of good for your mental health.
I mean, it's probably the most justified parallel I could think of too.
Of course, I know. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's
anything else you'd like to shout out or.
I just I think a huge thank you to just thanks for allowing me to come on the show and talk about Hey Nonny, but huge thank you to everybody that continues to support us and just small venues in general. Give us a chance. We've really, the owners and the staff, everybody that works there has worked incredibly hard to make Hey Nonny an experience. I say that a lot, and I can't stress enough. I just think it's something special and it's something different that you're not going to get at a lot of other places. There's a lot of well-respected venues, and not to say that we're better than them or anything like that. We're just different than some of your other places that you can
and
go
they suck.
I didn't say that.
They're garbage.
No.
It's garbage. They run that shit.
I would just say, tell people, check out heynonny.com. We have a lot of really, really great artists coming up, and, just get signed up for the email list, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're easy to find. Just search Hey Nonny, and I guarantee you'll find a show that you'll want to check out. I mean, we literally have all kinds of genres. I mean, anything that you like. I mean, I guarantee there's something that you will find at our venue. One of these bands you'll enjoy thoroughly, and who knows, you might just check out a band just for fun, and then you might be fans of it. I mean, that's happened to me multiple times where I've worked with bands, Arcadian Wild, Fireside Collective. Is another band that I became a fan of. Andrew Bell. I wasn't really familiar with his music, and then I was like, wow, why don't I listen to his music? He's great. So there's been a lot of artists that I've become fans of after the fact, where I'd never listened to them before. So it's just a great place to discover up and coming music. And like you said, hopefully people, and it is happening, but I hope to see it continue to happen more.
I think it will. And I think, like you said, it's an easy guarantee that you'll find something that you'll easily fall in love with. As a past patron, you guys do have this weird, like, indescribable, just special vibe to it.
Cool.
It's just homey, chill, but still, like,
upscale-ish.
Yeah. It's not like, just your
It's a cozy
dive,
upscale.
Yes. Yes. It's enough to relax and chill out, but also enough to make you feel like you're at something really special. And, just with the talent on top of it, I think you guys are just going to become a bigger and bigger name. A household name, if you will.
Household name of Hey Nonny. There's some kind of cool tagline that could be...
We'll let the marketing people
Yeah,
figure it out.
I'm not.
Josh?
Huh?
Do you have anything?
Got anything back there?
Judging by
say
that.
hey over at Hey Nonny.
Anyways. There's a reason why he's behind the camera, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I can't wait to see more of what you guys bring to the table. Gosh, words today. I need more coffee. And it's really exciting to have this so close to,
Easy to get to.
super easy to get
Free
to.
parking.
Mm-hmm.
Free parking. You don't have
Yeah.
to go to the city and pay or drive around for blocks.
Right.
There's a parking garage that has free parking. It's easy.
And the food's great. The drinks are great.
Absolutely.
They don't make a bad drink. Or at least I haven't had one.
The old fashions are delicious.
Yes.
I know I have tested them in a professional manner.
Professional.
The Nonny burger is also good. Again, professionally. I have to know the product in order to promote it.
Exactly. And so be sure to check them out. Give them a follow, a like, sign up for their email list, their email blast, so that you can get the latest news and deals and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Any insider stuff. Join their club. And I'm definitely going to be stealing from this list to try and get some people on the show too.
And if they are booking inquiries.
Oh yes, booking inquiries.
Important.
This is for me.
And anybody.
How can I play there?
Yeah. I would definitely say, the email address that would be better to do would be either booking at heynonny.com. You could even do contact at heynonny.com. One of the two.
Yeah.
If they have production questions, I'm Rob at heynonny.com. If they want to, they actually don't bother me. I'm just kidding. But yeah, you could reach out through the website. I would definitely not say to message us through our social media.
Yeah.
It's best just to, if you're going to inquire, have, your band name in the subject line, and maybe include media content in the email. Don't say, hey, I want to play at your venue.
Right.
Chances are that might get read and get deleted because that's not a good selling tactic for yourself. Another good pointer for up-and-coming artists. Definitely have media content in there so that way we have a chance to check out your social accounts or check out whatever material you might have online.
Okay. And I have a question on that real quick before we close. Are EPKs even worth it as somebody who's looking at the talent? Is it easier for them to just have the media links in the email and just have here's the music, Spotify or Apple Music, and then socials, website, or do they
That's a great
EPK
question.
give any kind of value other than just we're taking this professionally?
I think the quick and easy way for it, definitely just a link to your social accounts, and then if you have stuff that's on Spotify and Apple Music, that always is helpful. But I always say it doesn't hurt. If it's presented in a good way. I know, is Sonic Bid still a thing?
Think so.
Yeah, so, I mean, or even, I
Or-
know a lot of bands just make a promo video on YouTube,
Mm.
and then they call that an EPK, which is, it is, but kind of isn't, because,
Yeah.
for my days of being in a band, an EPK would, you go to their EPK, and they would have the music in there, their bio,
Right.
their different, promo photos, direct links to the music before streaming, where you actually had to upload it onto the website itself,
Right.
which is, this is where Sonic Bids,
Yeah.
at least I remember our band having one. And
I think they're partnered through like Reverb Nation now or something.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
EPK
Reverb
thing.
Nation. Yeah, we actually, I totally forgot about that website.
Everyone else did too.
Yeah, I'm totally out of the loop. I'm not clear. Clearly, I'm not a talent buyer. But definitely more on the production. But I would say any content is good content. Just as long as just don't suck.
No. It's the first rule.
and make sure the recording quality is good. Don't send a.
Don't sound
This
like
is
that.
this is a song I recorded in my garage with one microphone. And with blankets hung up around me. I don't know. I'm just just make sure it's of quality, because there is a standard, and make sure that we can easily find you on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that should be enough to figure something out.
Because I've had some people ask or ask me to look at their EPK, which was funny and weird, and I forgot to get back to them on that one. But I always say to people who inquire about that, where it's like, doesn't the website just function as that now? And
Right.
Websites are so accessible and easy to make now with Squarespace or Wix for free, and it's like you can kind of have all the same stuff you would put in an EPK right on that website, and it's just one link. And
Yeah, a website where you have and then you can have links to your streaming accounts, to your social pages. So but then there's some artists that may just have social accounts because they don't want to pay for a website.
Yeah, that's so true.
So I would say any of those work. But if you have a website where everything's there, then definitely that.
Yep. Cool. Well, I do want to end on a more fun note. So, last thing, what is one of the most fun or funniest moments you've had while doing sound at Hey Nonny? Is there any moment in particular where it's like, oh wow, I can't believe that happened, or that I'm never going to forget?
I've had multiple moments of me being, where I'm, let's say a musician is sitting in front of monitor 3 and I'm adjusting monitor 2 and say, is that good? I'm pretty sure I'm hearing it over here. I don't know. Oh, that's because I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I've had moments like that where I'm just not, thinking or whatever. There's nothing that really, I'm trying to think. I did, so in the first few months of being open, and I've told this story, the owners know this, and a lot of people have shared this multiple times. So CJ Chenier and the Louisiana Hot Band or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. I know CJ Chenier. He's a really big Zydeco artist. And Zydeco artists actually have washboard players.
That's awesome.
It is.
That's
where,
fun.
And I just put an SM57 on it, and they just play it like crazy. I've never been offered I've never had a washboard player approach me about wanting me to tour with the band because they loved how their washboard sounded in their monitors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that is probably the only time that'll ever happen in my life.
Until they come back.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then they try and steal you again.
It was. Yeah, that was really funny because it was just I'm like, wow, I've had bands. Oh, how much do you charge? Come on, mix, whatever. But I've never been approached by. He was awesome. They were a great band and super cool, and it was just funny. And he was just so. He's just, I don't know, he's just a really cool dude. And the owner was just like, you can't have him. No, I know he's probably like half, kidding around, but still, the whole conversation in itself, that's a story to to repeat and to tell people about because it's kind of cool.
So coming soon from Rob Reif, his own master class on washboard miking techniques.
Yes, of course.
If you want to learn how to mic your washboard, tune in to Rob Reif's master class. No, I'm joking. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's funny. That's one of the few things you'll get at Hey Nonny. You never know.
Yeah.
You might get some washboard. That's awesome. Well, if that's not the only selling point that people need to go check out Hey Nonny, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that
Close it there.
Yeah, if I heard that story of a venue, I'd want to go check it out.
I'd go right away.
Yeah. What is this? What?
But yeah, awesome. Thank you so much again for sharing your time with us.
Appreciate it.
Your insight, your experiences, and thanks again for making Hey Nonny sound so damn good.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that very much. And thanks to anybody that might listen to this, and thanks to anybody that continues to support what we're doing. I tell you, from the owners to the staff, we all appreciate it as a work family.
Exactly.
Sure.
And we can't do it without you guys. So, if you love the discovery of new music, of original talent, local talent, anywhere, far and wide, just show up, or communicate and just show your love for it, because that's how we keep doing what we're doing. And so if you like what we're doing here on the Underbelly Hours, also be sure to give us a like or a comment and subscribe.
Absolutely.
And all that good stuff for the latest local music discoveries. And we love you and love everything that you do to support us. So that never goes unappreciated. Thanks for tuning in today. It's weird wrapping this up without Adela. We usually do a thing. So
what's the thing? Can you do it on your ad-lib?
Well, we trade, we just say you're Dan and you're Adela instead of I'm Dan and you're Adela.
So I could say you're Dan
and you're Rob.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just ad-libbing here.
And this has been another Underbelly
There we
Hours
go.
episode in my basement. Bye bye.
Are you tired of listening to the same bands over and over again?
Over and over.
Stop listening to what mainstream media chooses for you
You filthy casual.
and try something new. Tune in to the Underbelly Hours every Sunday night at 6 p.m.
On WRSE 88.7 FM.
for exclusive interviews, unreleased content, and more from the depths of Chicago's underground. I'm Adela.
I'm Dan.
Take off your coat and stay a while!
Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you stream your podcasts, thanks to Ox Audio, a Chicago-based podcasting platform.